Welcome to another episode of the Humble Hustle podcast. Today's a special one. We have a guest with us today. Say hello.
Hey, everybody.
We have Nick Jones, Kayla Ebner, and
Aiden McDonald.
Woo!
That's
Welcome.
me. Thanks for having me.
So excited.
This is going to be great.
Making the trek. Love
Yeah,
that.
I drove 5 hours here. Probably another 5 or 6 back with traffic. It's
The
gonna.
drama. You will hit traffic on the way back if you go through Worcester.
I did go through Worcester.
Yep. Just mentally prepare.
I
It's
hate
okay.
Worcester.
I hate it too.
You live there.
I know.
That's a problem.
I only hate the traffic.
That's a problem.
Otherwise, it's great.
Sure.
sure.
But anyways, thanks for being here.
Thank you for being
Again,
here.
thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a whole lot of things. We want to just get to know more about you, how you got into all of this. Aiden is a very talented videographer. He does photos as well. He does production. He does a lot of things. So we're really excited to talk to you about all of
Big
it.
gearhead.
Yeah.
Off the mic
Big
just now,
gearhead.
we could have talked
Big
for
gearhead.
hours about the gear we have.
Yep.
Yeah, and now that I have a platform to talk about it, with
I know.
cameras
Oh,
and
yeah.
microphones,
Look out, people.
Here we go.
buckle in for the next 4 hours. It's gonna be a good show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us about you. What got you into all this?
So I've been in the industry for 5 years now. Started in 2019, really full-time 2019. But I've been doing photography as long as I can remember. My great-grandfather was a photographer in Springfield, and I remember walking into his office, and he had all of his prints just lining his office. So I would just stare at him. I mean, he shot some incredible stuff. He did a lot of underwater stuff. So he had this one shot of this big jellyfish, and it was right above his desk. He shot a lot of stuff like the space shuttle launches.
Really?
So that was really cool to see.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then when he passed, I was able to inherit some of his prints and a little bit of his equipment too. So I've had that for a while and just kept taking photos. I got a hold of a really cheap Pentax point and shoot camera, and I brought it on vacation with me and shot a bunch of pictures. And then I came back and I got a different camera because that one sucked, and I shot some more pictures. And that was the original A7.
Wow.
Which is just a brick of garbage now.
So you started your first real mirrorless DSLR was Sony.
It was a Sony, yeah.
There we go.
It was a Sony. And then I strayed from the path of righteousness for a little bit, and I did have a Canon.
Oh,
I did have a Canon.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it was a
Oh.
7D. My father gave it to me.
Oh my god.
And I loved it.
That's
It
a
was-
good camera.
Yeah, sure. And then,
Sure.
and then when I started working with VSP, VSP had all the cameras, and they were all Sony. So we've since upgraded our Sony
Arsenal?
inventory. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Arsenal. The Arsenal.
We're shooting on one of them right now.
We sure are.
Nick's camera is the
Over there.
FX6.
We had two A7S's, S3s, and one FX6.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Thanks for bringing it.
Have to supply it. And if I can, plant the Sony seed in anybody's head, you're already
You've been
there.
working on me for a
Working
while
on it
now.
still.
I'm getting there.
We got a big Canon hater over.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, I have nothing against Canon. It's just I just don't like it. I just don't like it. That's all.
Yep.
That's one thing I will say about Canon is the form factor is nice because I have massive hands, and the Sony DSLRs don't really fit in my hand.
Yeah, the
Because
Canons
they
are a little
small.
beefier.
Yeah, they are. I feel like the Sonys, for me, I guess, I don't know, they feel a little bit cheaper. I know they're not, but they feel just because they're smaller.
He's like, how
Which
dare
is
you?
nice.
Take it back.
Which is nice because they're not as heavy. Okay.
No, they're not as heavy.
Pros
they're
and
not as
cons.
heavy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, no, but so getting into it was kind of a natural progression from childhood through. I obviously had other jobs, just working.
Yep.
I did attempt to go to film school. I
Okay.
say attempt because COVID really ruined that for me.
What school did you attempt?
It was the New School in Manhattan. It's called the New School for Social Research. Beautiful school, and they had a pretty good film program. I applied to NYU. Got denied. No surprise there. I mean, really. And then applied to the new school and I got in. But I did one semester remote because of COVID. So I was paying full New York City tuition to be in my basement.
Crazy.
So no college then? Like
I did an associate's degree at Holyoke Community College in business, and then that's it. That's my only formal education.
nice.
So
Cool.
everything film related is self-taught, which I'm pretty proud of.
Did you have any
That's
form of
awesome.
like mentor at the earlier stage, or even now, I guess, that like really helped guide you for the fundamentals, I guess, or was it really all self-taught?
Really? Yeah, no, not that I mean,
Damn.
I had people around me that were in the same boat. Like at HCC, I took a couple photography classes, and it was all people of the same caliber. You know, we were all doing the same thing. So we all kind of learned together. And I will say, I mean, that education that I got was the best education, like better than high school, better than any elementary experience. And, you know, any primary education I got is nothing compared to what I got at HCC. So yeah, shameless plug for HCC.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's great.
But yeah, no, I like I said, really no one person in particular was like, let me guide you through this. It was a lot of putting a camera in my hands and figuring out what was right and what was wrong. And
Yeah.
when I did do things wrong, I'd go on YouTube and
Exactly.
figure out how to not do that again,
Yeah.
you know?
The
So-
best way to learn is by doing, for sure, in this field.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I dropped out, because not only was I in my basement, but I was also not doing anything film related. I was there
Right.
for a film degree and I did nothing related to film
Yeah,
at all,
that's
which was
tough.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yep.
And being an out-of-state school, only like half my credits transferred, so I had to do more gen ed. So I went to go apply for classes for the second semester, and they had no film classes available to me. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm halfway in to this 2-year program, and I've done nothing related to film. So let me stop the bleeding while I can and go and just learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And
Here you are.
here we are.
That's crazy.
Here we are, 5 years later.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what do you do now?
So now my primary focus and goal is to do commercial film production. We do a lot of it now, trying to expand that in our company.
Which is visual sound productions.
Correct. Yes. VSP, baby.
Love it.
So we're trying to get more commercial clients, doing not only, stuff for external distribution, marketing related projects, but also internal distribution. That's something new to us that we're just starting to get into. That's really beneficial. It's mutually beneficial to everybody. And something that I never really thought about when I was starting to do video. I'm thinking of, this is all marketing. It's just everything's marketing. You don't realize there's a whole another side of this that's totally useful to everybody and even more valuable
Yeah.
than
100%.
marketing.
Yeah. All those internal trainings and stuff like that. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Very cool.
I'm going to have my non-alkaline water.
So
sorry,
you,
the pH is off.
It's okay. It's okay. Next time.
so you wear a lot of hats, as I feel like a lot of us do in this industry.
You have to.
Yeah.
Though you
have
did
to.
say you were starting to transition into kind of a more admin role in the company.
More on the business development side of it. As everybody in this industry knows, you can only do so much as one person. And once you hit that cap, that ceiling of what you can do, then what? It's like, is the income just going to be the same forever, or are you going to pivot and figure out how to land bigger and better clients and do more work? So that's where I'm at right now. Is how can I bring in more business, be able to supply work to the team, and just make it better.
Yeah. That's a great segue for your question.
Yeah.
Boy.
So when you first said that you were kind of transitioning to that like more sales type stuff and trying to find bigger and new clients, I wanted to know what your sales process was looking like. Like, do you do a lot of outreach, and if so, like what type of outreach? Like,
Yeah.
how are you trying to find these new clients? Like,
So it's gonna be a long answer.
we got
That's
time.
okay.
So it's been a big learning process for me. I will say I haven't done. You and I talked about this offline. I haven't done a lot of cold outreach.
Right.
Like, it's just not something that I've done. I've done a little bit, but even then, it's not it's people that I know. It's people in my network who I've done
Yeah,
stuff
some nice
with
warm
before.
leads. Yep.
Right. I'm not just calling businesses and being like, hey, I do video. How can I help? I haven't gotten to that point yet. I got involved in a lot of networking groups. Right now I serve on the board at the Springfield Young Professional Society. And I'm also on the board for the Ad Club of Western Mass. And those two networks alone have provided a lot of work, which is awesome.
That's great.
And I mean, that's just, if you're not doing networking, if you're not at events and you're not showing your face, you're doing something wrong. Get out there. You have to, like, it's a must. So that's been the primary source. Whether it's going to networking events and seeing people that I've known forever and being like, hey, how you been? Oh, well, we have this project coming up, or it's somebody who I've known forever, and they're like, hey, I want to go introduce you to this person over here. It's their second event, and I think they could really use your help. And that's produced, a lot of meetings and a lot of work. So yeah, I mean, the sales process has been primarily networking, becoming a familiar face to the market that you're in, and really just being the person where they're like, oh, we need video. Who do we call? We call Aiden. You know what I mean? And it's worked. It's worked. So the focus of this new, I guess, phase is to focus in really hard on that, and just keep pushing hard on the networking, going to more events, handing out more business cards, and just getting more work, like I said.
Yeah.
With these networking events, are the people there like mostly like potential clients, or are they fellow creative people like you?
A little bit of both. There at these events, there's a lot of different industries there, obviously. Right. And in our particular market, it's a lot of finance, a lot of insurance, a lot of healthcare. We have a pretty decent manufacturing audience as well. And you see these different groups interacting with each other, and then over in the corner, there's 4 or 5 photographers, videographers hanging out. And, so I've brought a couple creatives to these events too, to show them the benefit of it. And I'm trying to get more involved, more creative people involved as well, because, this is a whole other conversation, but I'm not worried about there not being enough work. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy to bring people and show them the benefit to these events, and not having to worry about losing work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because this doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
Yep.
So
Completely agree. Yeah.
I've gotten involved with my local chamber recently.
no way. And you still shoot Canon.
Soon to be not, probably.
You're skipping steps here.
As long as the steps are being done, I don't know if the order matters, right?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
I'll give you a pass on that one.
Oh,
So funny.
Great. Thank you so much. We were just talking off the mic about how I'm being very strongly influenced by multiple people in my life to switch from Canon to Sony. And Aiden is more on the bullying side.
Listen,
friendly bullying,
I think
would
I've
say.
tried every other avenue possible.
I know.
And nothing else is working. So
I know.
here we are.
Well, I've rented the gear, so we'll see how I like it.
It's the
Day one.
First step in solving a problem is admitting that you have one. So I'm glad we're there. That's great.
Oh my
You
god.
are. Oh my god.
So good.
So I think that answered your question. I like
Oh, yeah.
That was
No, for
perfect.
sure.
sales
Yeah.
process is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily sales, I guess. It's more so just getting involved.
Terrible at sales. I don't
Just
think
gotta
I'm
get
good.
involved.
Yeah.
Just gotta get involved.
I don't want to be salesy. I don't have a desire to be salesy. I want to connect with people who genuinely need the help
Right.
and could use it. I'm not trying to force anybody to work
sure.
with me. Like I don't
Definitely,
know.
yeah. And I agree with you.
But those networking things are like a good way to, I feel like, generate those genuine relationships with people.
Correct. And that it's my approach has always been authenticity. Like I don't like the salesman attitude. You know
no.
what I mean?
Nope.
Well,
Can't take
you
no.
need this, and let me
Yeah.
tell you why.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Can't
Uh-huh.
stand
If
that.
you
The
don't-
gurus.
If you
Yep.
don't want this, and let's not do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because you can tell when there's a client, you're trying to tell them what you do, and they just have no interest. Why am I going to sit here and talk your ear off about something that you don't care about? Let's be friends instead. You know what I mean?
Right.
and let me show you my authentic self, and maybe that'll spark something in you to be a little bit more comfortable, and we can develop something down the road.
Yep.
You know?
I like that.
Yeah, the authenticity is a big thing, especially VSP in general. We're all very authentic people, as you know, and there's no point in shielding that from the world. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many. This might be a hot take. Anyway, I feel like there.
clip it.
I feel like there are so many creative people out there that have zero personality,
Interesting.
especially
I
photographers.
can see that.
Like I've met so many photographers who are either like mean or just don't have a personality.
Let's talk about that. There's an interesting relationship, especially we all do weddings. We're all in the wedding industry.
Yep.
There's an interesting relationship between photographers and videographers that I have yet to put my finger on. I'm not a wedding photographer.
I am not either.
I look up to them because they have a certain amount of patience that I just don't have. And
I've dabbled.
Yeah, and I think I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was some traumatic event that happened in every photographer's life with a videographer that they just automatically assume that we're total douchebags.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good. Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
What is
like-
that?
I don't know. Again, I'm trying to figure it out because it's a problem.
It is.
When you show up and you're like, hey, how are you?
We recently had a friend of ours and client of mine, a wedding planner, and she was telling us that her biggest problem of the day is making sure the videographer and photographer get along.
Oh my God, it's
That's
crazy.
wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
It's-
it's happened to me before.
It makes no sense to me, and I don't know what it is, but the goal of a wedding is to provide a product for your client.
Yeah.
And in the end, we're all just trying to make sure
Work
that
as a
product is
team.
good.
Yeah.
Same goal.
The product is good. We want to capture the day.
We all have a
We're
job
both-
to do.
We're both capturing the day.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just making it stop motion, and I'm,
Yeah.
trying
Exactly.
to capture the day. So what I don't get is why there's this animosity, and it's been a when I'm at a wedding, it's like my first priority is to find out who the photographer is.
Yeah.
And I want to introduce myself with no camera in my hand. I just want
Right.
to walk up to him and say, hey, how are you?
I try and do it before the day even. Like
Right.
I'll shoot him
Yeah.
a text, I'll call him.
Follow
Hop
them
the
on
phone.
Instagram. Yeah, for
exactly,
sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
And just set that expectation of I'm not here to make your life hard. And
Right.
in turn, I expect that from you
Right.
too,
It's
That's a
so much
safe
easier
assumption.
when you work
Exactly.
together. So much easier.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
I feel like I bring a certain golden retriever energy to weddings.
Oh, 100%. You
And
definitely do.
It's like, I want to be friends with everybody. And it sounds silly, but it's like, if we're all friends and we can all joke together and make light of things, and we're all just going to have a better time.
Yeah.
It's going to be a better product.
It's a long ass day. When you can get along and vibe with a vendor, it's so much fun.
Well, let me tell you, when you're not vibing with a vendor, that 7-hour shoot feels like
drag.
24 hours.
It's a
Eternity.
drag.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, get me out of here. Because you just don't want to be in that environment with that person.
Yep.
So again, I don't know what it is. And I think it was some glitch in the matrix where all these photographers just think their video is out to kill them. And it's like, it's not.
Nope.
That's not who it is.
We just want to work together.
But then you hear these stories and it's like,
Harmony.
oh yeah, the videographer just planted their tripod like
Right.
2 feet from the bride and groom the whole time.
Exactly.
I couldn't shoot anything. And I'm like, well,
Yep.
that's silly.
That's terrible.
And why would anybody do that? So
Right.
then you hear the stories and you're like, okay, all right.
Sometimes
I see your
it's-
trauma.
But there
I
are just
see
as
your
many
trauma.
stories about photographers, I'm sure, doing similar things, like walking right in front of your shot.
Yeah.
Like I've had people do that to me before. Photographers just walking right in front.
It's kind of expected for me
It
at
is,
this
yeah.
point.
For
It's gonna
sure.
happen.
What's like that? Oh my! It went around the internet last year. It was that video of a couple, and they had their first kiss at the altar, and the photographers were like, "No, stop!" And they made them redo it.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I would
Who would
cringe.
ever do
I couldn't.
that?
I couldn't finish the video.
Oh my God.
I heard them shouting, and I was like, "No!"
Oh my God.
No.
I never saw that.
I'll just send it to you.
I'm gonna have to look
it's
it up.
rough.
Oh
it's
my
rough.
God.
It really is rough.
Jeez.
But it's just
Yeah,
that's
that's
human
that's
nature,
one thing about a wedding day that makes it so much more stressful. And people are always like, "Oh, why does everything that involves a wedding cost so much more?" It's because like you have to capture these moments that you're not going to be able to recreate.
Right.
Like it is a lot of stress. It's a lot of work, and we're all just trying to get through it.
Yeah. It's one thing when you're doing an interview for a commercial gig and you got a teleprompter and you can be like, oh, Hold on.
Yeah, let's
let's
redo that.
Let's
Yeah.
re-say that.
Yeah, I need you to say that again because you didn't say it right. We're going to say it again. At a wedding, the priest screws up the vows. You can't tell him to stop and start
get what you
over.
get.
It's like that is what it is, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely an added level of stress that sucks, but it's, again, that's the essence of the day.
Right.
I would also argue that like wedding filmmakers are able to translate a lot easier into like the commercial world. But if you take a strictly commercial videographer and try and tell them to shoot a wedding, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I started in weddings, and I completely agree with you. It was a very natural transition because you have that mentality of we can't mess up. Like this is it. And when I transitioned into the commercial world, that stress followed me. And I was like, we can't redo this. Like this is all we have.
Actually, we can.
Yeah, I've grown out of that. you
Yeah.
know? And early on when I first started doing it, I would accept takes that were not good. And I'm like, yeah, that take was bad, but that's it. That's all we got. It's
Right,
like,
right.
no, not really. So thankfully I've been able to separate the two. But
Yeah.
no, I completely agree with you. Transitioning from weddings to commercial was no problem. No problem. I can't imagine doing it the other way.
Yeah, because I feel like in weddings you also learn how to tell a really great story, which you do have to do that for a majority of commercial projects, whether it's like something more on the corporate side, like a lawyer's office or a gym. Like I recently just filmed one where, like everything's different, but you're still trying to tell a story in a captivating way.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like that helps too.
Definitely. And it stretches your creativity because if you're shooting something that's not super interesting, we've all done weddings that are not super interesting. You have to tell a story. You have to tell a story no matter what.
Yes.
And so translating that into the commercial clients, super helpful. So you can be like, okay, this business is boring.
Yep.
How am I going to make this interesting? How am I going to tell their story? Because a lot of times the story is not in what they do, it's who they are and how they've gotten to where they are. And you really got to pull that out.
Yeah.
And being able to pull that out.
It's such a skill.
Yeah, it
God.
is. It is. And it's
always possible.
Yeah.
There's always a way to make something interesting. You just have to find it.
There've been a couple shoots where I go into it and I'm like, how am I going to see the light at the end of the tunnel on this one? And then you get halfway through the shoot after talking with the client and becoming friends with them. A lot of times it's you're making friends over the shoot.
Yeah.
And you get halfway through and you're like that.
Yeah, you're like,
that part
I got it.
of what you just said. That's the story.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't even know it. You have to find it.
Exactly. And which is another skill set to be able to extract that and be like, okay, this is going to help you.
It's like a therapy session, kind of.
In a way.
Gotta peel the layers.
In a way, yeah. Just a therapist that brings a lot of equipment and probably causes more stress than that.
I know.
I was so against weddings at the beginning. Like I didn't want to shoot them at all because I was scared because I was going to mess up their most important day of their lives. But now that I've done them and I'm fully in the industry, I think every videographer should try weddings at some point because of everything we just said. All the lessons and the strategies and the techniques that you learn in a wedding day can translate to all forms and niches of videography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cut that out. I swallowed my
Tickle
water
in your
wrong.
throat.
My Ascend water ascended into my lungs.
It was the pH.
Yeah, the pH was wrong. So, yeah, definitely.
Oh my God.
It's an important skill set to have. Oh my God.
Get it all out.
We're live. We're back.
What's next? What do we?
I know your coughing gave us a second to look over our
Good,
notes.
good. I got a cough.
Oh no!
It's fine.
Folks,
Maybe we won't cut any
we're
of this.
really talented people, and we know what we're doing.
We know
We're
exactly
falling
what we're
apart in
doing.
here.
Fucking broke the mic.
Oh no!
No, we're good.
All
Am I
right.
still live?
Oh yeah, wait.
we
You
Still got me over there?
We're good. We're good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. I got something.
Great.
Oh good.
So, on all your shoots, whether it's commercial, weddings, whatever, have you ever had a moment where you personally dropped the ball and a royal fuck up, basically?
The short answer is yes. The long answer is Yes. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint one moment. There's something to be said about the learning process when you're first getting into it. I mean, when I first started doing commercial video, and if you're a client of mine, don't listen to this next portion. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah, none of us did.
I had no clue. And that's
Not a
just
clue.
the nature of the beast, right? Like, you just have a camera, you know it records video.
Exactly.
Now what? I didn't know a thing about lighting. I don't know about audio. I don't know none of that. So I was doing a shoot with this one particular client who wanted to branch into social media content. You know, that like captions running on the screen and, you know, vertical.
Yep.
And I just didn't have the appropriate skill set to do that. And I think it was a combination of kind of rushing into it a little bit. It was a pretty last minute thing. And I shot it the way I thought I should shoot it. And I looked at the footage afterward and I'm like, this is not,
Oh no.
I can't do anything with this.
In what way?
Lighting was bad. Angles were wrong. I had one angle that was like super low and it's just like, it was not flattering. And there's, you know, a couple females on screen and I knew that if I put this out there, it was going to be just not good. Like, and I didn't want to do that to these people. So I sat on it for a long time. Oh no. Like 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah. And I didn't say anything. And that's another whole conversation that I am glad that I'm able to communicate better now.
Did they ask at all? Or
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? How's it look?
No.
I need to post something. Do you have it? And I'm like, working on it.
Oh no.
And I, you know, so long story short, they ended up reaching back out and they're like, hey, so I found somebody who's going to edit it. Can you send me the footage? And I was like, yeah. And I have not seen it posted. So.
Oh man.
But that was a big learning opportunity for me to realize what I screwed up in the shoot, lighting wise, exposure wise. My exposure was completely wrong. My highlights were like completely bloomed out and it just looked terrible.
is that why you like zebras?
That's why I like zebras. That's why we use zebras, folks.
It's PTSD.
Exactly. But that was a moment where I'm like, okay, I did this wrong. How do I make sure that I can not do that again on site?
Yep.
Because the whole fix it and post mentality just doesn't work at all.
No.
Yeah,
Not as much on the video. Photo you can do a little bit more, but
When you're shooting raw, I mean, you have 2 stops either way or more than that to fix whatever you need to fix. When you're shooting video, if you don't get it right, you don't get it right.
right.
So I was able to go and do my research on how to better expose things on site. And that's when I learned about zebras and IRE and using histograms and waveforms and vector scopes and all that fun stuff to be able to nail it and not have to worry about that ever again.
I think maybe I'm speaking for everyone here, but for creatives, videographers in particular, I think we're pretty fast learners. Like it only takes
was
one
literally just
fuck up
thinking
like that and we will fix it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's when you're, I completely agree. When you're on site, you have to nail it.
Yeah.
And if you're not nailing it, it really does only take that one time to learn, regroup, and never do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, in a previous episode, we talked about how I think it's amazing how fast creatives can learn. And in a previous episode, we talked about like how we look back at our old work and we cringe. And Nick was like, I cringe at stuff I made 2 weeks ago.
I saw that and I completely related to that. I'm like, I don't want to see this project ever again. Ever.
Yeah.
And
We learn
it may
so
not be bad.
fast.
It may be great.
They're not bad. It's just
like the client was happy, I'm happy in the moment, and then I look
moment.
back, I'm like, why did I do that?
Yep.
exactly.
I should have moved them over, a foot
Yes.
to change the shot a little bit. And
Exactly.
it's all those little things that gnaw at you, and that plays a big factor in the imposter syndrome too, because you're like, wow, this is terrible. But then you talk to people, and they're like, oh no, that was actually really good.
Yep.
Right.
As long as the client's happy.
Yeah. If everyone's leaving with a smile on their face, that's great.
And always learning, right? So that experience, you learned a lot from that and you got better. And hopefully you never make the same mistake twice.
Well,
sometimes, but
happens. Happens to the best of us.
Wow. That's a tough one.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, I wouldn't call that a major fuck up. Like I didn't.
No.
Right.
Still had all the footage. Just wasn't the quality that I would have liked to deliver.
Yeah.
But it gave me an opportunity to learn and also figure out how to be a better communicator and be just straight up honest with people. Like, hey, we might need to reshoot this, you know, and 9 times out of 10, not that I've had to reshoot much, but it's, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it.
That says a lot
Same.
about confidence too. Like as owners and like videographers, you know, you need to have the confidence to, you know, feel good about your work, but also to know when you messed up and you have to have that conversation.
Exactly.
And to go to them and they will respect you for it when you.
Correct. Because there's something to be said about wanting to fix the mistake and make it right.
Yes.
Rather than
trying to avoid it
Cover it up.
and giving them something that's not
Yeah.
top quality.
Or just never delivering it.
Or just never delivering it like some of us did.
Some of us.
I feel terrible about it to this day. And you know,
You live and you learn.
yeah, it's going to be one of those things that just gnaws at the back of my head for the
The
rest,
rest
of
of
my
your
career.
life.
Remember that one time 20 years ago?
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough.
I kind of want to talk about gear now. With
Yeah,
the,
you do.
With the
Oh,
threat of
man.
it taking
I'll
an
go.
hour.
We got time.
So you've been in Sony for the majority of your career, except for the
One
little
that I
mishap
had
there.
Yeah. It's okay. Living and learning.
So yeah, I kind of want to just talk about Sony and the cameras you use, and you know why you choose a cinema camera for your productions.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it has to do with form factor. DSLRs are great, and especially for run and gun, doing weddings, they're awesome. The biggest decision to move into the FX6 was the internal NDs.
That's huge.
Yeah, because being able to run that in any environment without having to screw something out of the front of my lens and take it off, and it's just, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. Because even if you have like a zero stop ND that goes on the front of your lens, you're still affecting your exposure.
Yep.
So being able to shut it off at the click of a button and running into it, an indoor scene with no transition, is just invaluable in itself. And Sony, I mean, I think, again, I've had very limited experience with other cameras. I know like Blackmagic has some really, especially with their new release that just came out with, has some really, really competitive technology to the Sony sensors, but I just think it's kind of an elite sensor. I mean, that's my own personal opinion, but I think the 15 stops of dynamic range on it, and it just looks so good. And you know, it needs a little more work in post than say a Canon color profile would. That's not an excuse, just so you know. But you're able to recover so much from it, and we shot. Last year was the first year we used it for weddings, and again, when you're going inside outside, it's just invaluable to be able to do it that quick. And when you look at the footage afterward, you're like, oh. I see the sky. I see all their highlights in their face like perfectly, and the sky's exposed. And that was a big thing for me, was the sky, because we shot on the A7S2s, and that was right before they had upgraded the sensor that's now in the FX6 and the A7S3 and the FX3. What a difference! What a difference! I mean, it was just night and day. So much more detail across the image.
Right. So what you just said, the same sensor, correct me if I'm wrong, it is in the FX6, FX3, and A7S3?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I think
the only difference, and I could be totally way off base on this, but I think the only time the sensor changes is in the FX9, because the FX9 is capable of higher resolution.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a 9.
Yeah, it's bigger than
Nines
that.
are huge.
Wow.
It's the full form factor, and then from there you go into the newer Burano, and then the Venice.
Jesus.
The Venice is, I mean, that's the Mac Daddy. That is the camera. That's like the.
How much does that cost? 50,000.
20. I think it's 40.
Jeez.
It's like 30 something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a car.
But that rivals like the Ariel X's and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. It's the standard. You know, you have the Reds and the Aries, and then you have the Sony Venice, and it's I mean, it's shot so many amazing films.
Right. A bunch of your favorite feature films have probably been shot on it.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
Sony's a top competitor in the industry for sure, and everybody knows that. You know, it's nothing new.
Maybe not everybody.
Some people,
Hey.
some people may not quite
know.
understand it yet.
I know.
He's influencing me to become the bully.
Yeah.
contagious.
This is very contagious right now.
But yeah, so like I have the A7S IIIs and I've never really used FX6 footage before, but I've seen it and I know it's the same sensor, but it looks better than what comes out of my camera.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I know.
I don't think I'm doing it wrong. I think it actually is the camera.
Yeah. And like I said, with the form factor of it, there are other benefits other than just
course.
the NDs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other menu settings that aren't available in the FX3 even. But yeah, it's just having that full body cinema camera is a benefit in itself. There's mounting points all over it, so I can throw monitors on it super easily.
Yep.
It's just,
I mean, even the setup, what you just did today, it did not take you long to have it up and running. And you attached a bunch of stuff to it. Took you just a couple minutes.
yeah, and you can run it with nothing on it. You can run it as the brick and a lens,
Yep.
and a battery in the back.
It really
and
is
you're
a
done.
brick.
I mean, people throw it on aerial platforms. They'll put it on FPV drones even.
Yep.
You know, I mean, they're bigger. They're
Yeah,
FPV
you
drones are
need
this
like
big,
a
but
Damn.
still
Octocopter thing.
ripping it
That's
60 miles an hour with
wild.
a $10,000 camera rig on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but the ability to have it, there's something to be said about having a professional look.
That's what I was kind of
Yeah.
leading into. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
How valuable do you find like owning that, bringing that rig onto set, having the client see you using it? Like, does that actually play a role for you? Like, it makes a difference.
100%.
In my opinion.
100%. I mean, I would say if I walked on set with my iPhone and put it on a tripod,
You
with a
brought
ring
this
light.
giant case in today with all these cameras,
Right.
and it just looks professional.
Right. And, the client looks at it and there's a ton of buttons on there.
Right.
What do all those buttons do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I also am wondering what all those buttons do.
Fair enough. Sometimes I wonder what the buttons do. But
They could do nothing for all the client knows, and
Exactly.
it's just the look.
exactly. I could empty that case out and throw a phone in it and just surround it in that camera.
Right.
They're not going to know the difference.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, with the way cell phone technology is, that's possible.
Yeah.
I say unfortunately because I have a very heated opinion on the way the cell phones are integrating into the camera world. I think this is a hot take. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, go for it. I was going to say,
So-
go off.
I think cell phone companies have no business doing what they're doing.
Interesting.
And I'm all for everybody having the ability to be creative and make something. I don't want there to be any limitations in that. However, when you're dedicating your life to a career field and you go through education and you're spending a ton of money and investing into this company or whatever, and then you've got somebody who buys an iPhone 15 at the Apple Store, and they're like, I can shoot log on this. I'm going to make a movie.
Right.
Sure, go ahead. But what's that doing to the industry? What's that example that's being set? The example is, I don't need education. I don't need any of this stuff. I don't need to know how these cameras work. I can just do it on my phone. And I think that's damaging to the people that have spent the time to do it.
Yeah.
I agree to an extent. I think that, and we talked about this on a older episode too, but like, yeah, the phones are totally capable of producing a pretty good image. Now that they can shoot log, like you can do a lot on an iPhone 15, but it takes a certain person to be able to pull the full potential out of that camera.
Right.
So they still need to know how to work log, how to light it properly to make it rival our cameras. So I think, yeah, it does definitely like taint our industry a little bit, but I think it's not like the everyday person can pull the iPhone 15 and make a movie. They still need to know how to light it and work that
Very
footage.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that everybody should be a creator. I think there's something therapeutic about it. There's something like natural about it, like just to be able to create something for yourself and have your own work, right? I think that's great, and I don't want there to be any limitations in that. But again, it's a double-edged sword. Like I want that to have its space, but I also want the people that have dedicated their lives to this to be seen in the same way, or seen in their own way. You know what I mean?
Very
Yeah.
fair.
And
yeah.
now with the blending of social media and our industry, I think that's taking away a lot of the talent.
It's the file size for me. I have a 512 gigabyte phone, and it's filling up constantly because of how big the files are from
Yeah.
my phone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and you got to think too, like
Oh my God.
the iPhone is so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. Again, I'm not taking away from that. Like the capabilities of it are insane. Like the fact that you can rack focus in post is wild.
That is crazy.
It's wild.
Okay, I might need to look this up afterwards, but so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Sony manufactures the iPhone camera sensors.
Interesting. I haven't heard that.
Oh.
I thought Matty Hapoya said that in one of his videos a couple years ago.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be
Which should be
surprised.
fun.
So I wondered
actually,
if
I wouldn't be
that.
surprised because Apple has done a lot to make all of their tech
Yeah,
proprietary.
they've been very internal and
like with their new silicon chips. Like
Exactly.
those are theirs. They're not Intel's anymore. You know?
Right.
Like that's an Apple innovation, which is awesome. I have all Apple products.
I think you're right.
okay. Yeah. So if that is true, does that change your opinion at all? Like, you said you don't think these iPhone
Then your
manufacturers.
company Sony
Yeah,
is
no.
Exactly,
selling
it's Sony.
They're selling.
My opinion stands.
Wow.
My opinion stands. Listen, I can love their cameras. I don't need to love what they do on the side.
Yeah. Yes.
That's true.
Yep.
It's business. It's
It
business.
is good. I guess so. This was also in 2022.
Right. So it
that
was a couple
Tim
years
Cook
ago.
confirmed that Apple does use Sony image sensors in its iPhones.
Huh.
I don't know about anything like recent.
So how do you guys feel about vertical video?
Hate it.
I hate it. I do it because it's necessary, but
Yep.
I hate it. Like, I hate social media in general.
I'm very vocal about it to my clients too, and they all know it.
Do you try and have them not do it? Do you go that far?
No, I'll just complain about it.
That's all you need sometimes.
No, with one of my clients, we work together on a very regular basis, and
Yeah.
I'll always ask her before the shoot. I'm like, "Is this vertical or horizontal?" She's like, she'll look at me with like puppy dog eyes. She's like, "It's vertical."
Yep.
Cue the eye roll.
Yep. Yep.
Give me one project that I can do
No,
horizontal.
I know.
But yeah,
it's
I agree.
ridiculous.
It's necessary, and you have to do it. You have to do it.
I mean, from like a personal standpoint, when I think of like a portfolio and like my website, I don't want to be displaying all this vertical
Me
crap on my
either.
website.
But then you got to think, where are people looking at your website? Are they looking at it on a
They
computer?
look
Or
at
on their phone.
I always look at stuff on my computer,
Correct.
but the average person doesn't.
Yes. It sucks.
Right. And that's, it sucks. Like it just sucks because I have a feeling that we're going in that direction where everything's going to be vertical. Because like I said, now more people are looking at websites on their phone. Even Facebook is moving away from horizontal video.
Well, maybe not, because what about those Apple glasses?
What?
Oh, that,
Pretty
the
soon we're
Vision
all
Pro.
going to be walking around with those goggles.
Those
and
have gotten
isn't
some-
that going to be able to make things widescreen? So maybe it'll shift.
They've gotten a lot of like, like backlash recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there's,
Why?
I don't know. The hype was, it's kind of like the Cybertruck. Like the hype was real,
Oh.
but died pretty quick.
For sure.
Well, there's a lot that they need to improve on, but I think for what it is, like I think
It's cool. I
pretty
tried
crazy.
it. It's
I haven't
cool.
tried it, but my dad tried it at the Apple store, and he said it was insane.
I can't see integrating that into my
No,
life.
never.
I mean, I've seen people who just.
Never say never.
I think it's irony. It's not, like people do it for the meme, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Which is great.
They do.
That's cool. And
And I actually know someone who got them, made some like ironic reel, went viral because they did it, and that was the reason they did it, to go viral, and it worked.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So then, at what point, like, where's the credibility of that technology?
Exactly.
There isn't any. You know what I mean? I don't know. Elon's going to put chips in our heads, and it's all going to be internal anyway. So why?
I've heard they're heavy too, which would bother
you
me.
can't
They are.
put something on your like glasses are one like
That's what
these
I
weigh
want.
nothing.
I want glasses, and I can see the screen and do my work and be
Google
able to
did
pull
that a
things.
Those
while
they
ago.
exist.
Google
There used to be
Glass.
Snapchat glasses too, but
Snapchat did it. They fell flat on their face with it.
there are definitely some out there right now. They're not good by any
Ray-Ban
means.
does them.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. I
crazy.
know a couple creators who use them for BTS. So they bought them to be able to record.
That's genius,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Airfig. Shout out Jose.
Ah,
He uses them.
no way.
Yep, and he does
Like
he'll-
POV type
Yeah,
BTS.
he posted on his Instagram story, and I don't know how the interface works, but it seems like it's pretty instantaneous. It's from your phone.
Wow.
Wow,
Okay, that's
that's
actually really
crazy.
smart.
So he does like day in the life videos with his glasses. I think that's sick.
Is it like a GoPro type thing?
They just sit,
I must have seen it before.
like you
and I
wouldn't
didn't even know that. What
if
is
you're
that?
looking
Yeah.
at his face, you don't see a camera. They're
Right.
like in the little
Wow.
top of the temple there.
Yeah.
That's
Super small
crazy.
camera. And who else uses them? Geo over at our collab just bought some, I think.
Hmm.
And he uses it too. It's cool. It's cool. I
That
think
is
that has a
crazy.
place. That's cool.
Yeah, that's
But
insane.
I'm not putting that bug-eyed looking thing on my face and walking around
I
in public.
know. I know.
Wait, speaking
Not
of
until
GoPros, how do you feel about action cameras in general?
I haven't really had an application for them.
Okay.
I think they're cool. They definitely have a place. GoPro obviously, I think, spearheaded that movement.
I think Insta360 kind of took over though.
I think so. DJI's in the space now.
Yeah.
They're up there.
I've thought about buying
else-
one of their.
what
What is
else
it? A
does
Go something? DJI Go.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But I think they definitely have a place, especially in the FPV market.
Yeah.
I am a sucker for FPV. I think it's,
Wait, are you a drone
I was going
pilot?
to ask you, what are your thoughts on FPV drones? I think they're kind of silly.
Do you fly FPV?
If
I
for
don't
the
fly
right
FPV,
thing.
no. I want
but
to,
if
but
it's
I
just
don't.
like a normal video, I don't like the way it looks. Unless you're like in a spectacular place, doing something really cool. Like Red Bull, I get it. They want to do some FPV drone stuff. Flying through a stadium, like that stuff is sick. But if it's just like an average video, it really
it
throws
has
me
it
off.
has a place.
it's
Yeah.
It has
very
a
for
place.
unique shots.
It throws
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just shooting regular aerial content, you don't.
I
you shouldn't be
could
shooting.
I
you
could
shouldn't
never
be shooting at
actually
FPV.
fly it.
That's where it gets
I think
tricky.
it'd make me
Like,
sick.
that skill set is insane. And
You've
yeah,
done it
to
before,
wear the
and I saw
goggles.
you.
to wear the goggles,
I used to.
Ooh.
I need to get. I want to get the new Avata 2
Yeah.
and get back into it. But I mean, it's not easy. The learning curve is steep.
For sure.
Hours in the simulator.
Well, you think about
Oh my god.
like the regular drone platforms, and you can let off the controls, and it's just going to stay
A
where it is.
5-year-old can fly a Mavic.
Exactly. That's how they
True.
were designed, which is awesome.
I know.
Awesome.
Crazy.
And that that goes back to the accessibility. Like anybody can do it, which I think is cool.
Right.
But with the FPV stuff,
Yeah.
you let off the controls, you're going into the side of something.
Like everyone can fly normal drones, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I purposely got into FPV because not everyone can do it.
Something
and
unique.
I wanted to be the one who could do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, I'm perfectly fine letting everybody do it. I'll stay away.
For
It's
sure.
not for me.
Hire your weakness.
It's not for me.
Come on in.
It is really not for me.
Yeah.
But I think it looks really cool. I just in certain situations I'm like, whoa, this is making me very dizzy.
I went to the New York City Drone Film Festival 2018.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It is. And they have a whole category for cinematic FPV.
Ooh.
And we were at the New Jersey Science Center or something. It's in Jersey City. It's right across the river from Manhattan. And they have an Omni Theater in there, which is trippy in itself.
Right.
And they played all these FPV films in the Omni Theater.
awesome.
So you're just staring at this big screen, and you get people chasing waterfalls.
That's
and doing
incredible.
It was really cool. So I kind of caught the bug a little bit. I was like, that's really cool. But I haven't gotten into it.
I appreciated it when I saw I don't know, maybe 5 years ago when it started becoming more of a thing. And then when it made the transition to Hollywood noticing it and implementing it, the first time I saw it in a real movie was Michael Bay's Ambulance. So good. And he hired an 18-year-old kid to do it.
Oh wait.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when the whole entire movie is basically in the ambulance,
in the ambulance,
right?
basically.
Yeah.
There's so many scenes that are FPV. And
I have to go back to watch it.
Gene, Potato Jet, he met with Michael Bay and did some behind the scenes with them. I think he talked to the drone pilot too. FPV drone racing has been big for a little while, just
Yeah.
gone under the radar. No one
seen
knew
them.
about it.
Yeah.
But now that it's kind of made a scene into the production space, the FPV people are kind of getting the credit they deserve now. So Michael Bay hired a kid who was a drone racer, and he transitioned into filming for him for the feature film.
That's crazy.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And the shots were unbelievable. Like there was one that he had to fly under, the cop car was doing a small jump, and the kid had to fly under it as it jumped. And Michael Bay was like, "Kid, you got one shot."
Yeah, right.
That's insane.
And he got it, but he's like, he had one try.
Now I need to go back and watch it so that I can.
It's a good
pick
movie
up on
too.
some
If
of
you like
that
Michael
stuff.
Bay movies, it's a stereotypical Michael Bay movie.
Okay.
Michael Bay knows what he's doing.
Yes,
He's got his
he
audience.
does.
He knows exactly
Oh yeah.
exactly what he's doing.
Transformers. What a series. I love.
Hey,
those
I like
movies.
Michael Bay.
I fucking love those movies. The first two. Okay. Let's not get it twisted. Before they messed it all up.
Fair.
Before they got rid of Megan Fox.
All right, let's see. Is there any maybe like pet peeves that we
Yeah.
want to get into, or any other hot
Or
takes you
horror
might have?
stories.
Oh yeah, horror stories.
Do you have any,
Not really. No, I mean, I think I've been very lucky to not have any people in my space who provide horror stories.
I mean,
And
that's
I
a
think
good
that's
thing.
awesome.
Wow.
And I'm going to keep it that way.
Yeah,
I love
you
that.
should as long
'Cause
as you can.
I've really never had any. There's no story that's like, oh my God, that was the worst. Like, you know, things happen, sure,
Yeah.
but there's nothing that was like a horror story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely been some like high adrenaline moments on set. I think the biggest one for me was Bryn's music video,
Oh yeah.
because I stepped into a producer role for that, and that was a lot of work.
That was everything.
That was a lot of work. And
was so good.
we shut down that portion of the street. So that in itself was a pain. I mean, that was
Yeah.
weeks of pre-production trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then,
And it all came together very quickly too.
well, and that's the high adrenaline, is like we had this 8-hour window to film this video. And the first, I'll say 7 hours of it was broad daylight. And the whole essence of the music video was we need to get the transition from daytime to nighttime. And that is an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
And this was in October. So it was like things are starting to happen earlier, right?
Yeah.
And we shot the first minute of the music video probably 7 times over, and that took us 7 hours. And then the last hour of the shoot, we had to figure out how to get 3 or 4 takes of this portion of the music video in, chasing trying to stay ahead of the sun.
And no cloud coverage.
No cloud coverage. The
was
sun was
crazy.
right behind us when it was setting. So we had to, then the worst part is we had to break. We had to wait for the sun to
definitely-
get down low enough where we could reshoot again, because the sun was like perfectly in camera for, I'll say 45 minutes of what we were shooting. And so we couldn't shoot during any of that. And then we get to that last hour. I think it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock. It was just go.
Golden hour to blue hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
And we had to get it done, and we did. I think we did. I think we did a pretty good job. I think it turned out pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that was
fun.
like, the adrenaline was pumping on that one.
Yeah.
We were driving up and down that street over and over again.
Yep. Our driver was so patient. Bryn was great. Like she's an amazing director. Like she has such an awesome vision. And I just think like all of us came together and we had fun with it.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Again, we were friendly. We all had to be friends. Like,
Yes.
We had to be best friends for that shoot. If we weren't,
Yep.
it would not have worked out.
It was a really solid crew.
It really was. It was
really
small,
good.
small crew. It was me, you, Brandon,
Bryn, her mom.
Deb, Bryn, Dave.
Yeah.
6.
Is that his name? Dave.
Paul.
Paul. Thank you.
Dave.
Paul. Was
Sorry,
best.
Paul.
Paul was best.
But yeah, it was a 6-person crew, and we just did it.
Yeah.
And
It was fun.
yeah,
Really fun.
one of my favorite shoots of all time.
Me too.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it without you.
I like to think so.
It was so yeah.
If you could have done it
pat
without me, then there's a problem.
You can pat yourself on the back for that one. That that was awesome.
It was really fun. That was one of my first times in that producer role, and I fell in love with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it really pushed me to figure it out.
Yeah, you step
know,
up,
and that
rise to the
yeah.
occasion.
I love the planning and all that stuff that goes into it. I think it's obviously such an important part of it.
Yep.
And to be able to execute it successfully is like
So satisfying.
so rewarding.
Feels so good.
Rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What are you working on?
The studio.
Yeah.
The studio
Yeah, let's
is
talk about
next.
that real quick.
Yeah.
So VSP just bought a building in downtown Springfield. And through the graciousness of VSP, Nicole's funding this giant studio space for us to create in and to, you know, help teach creatives and have it really be this space where people can just let loose and do what they need to do and also use it for their client stuff.
So necessary.
Yeah. So that's been a big thing recently. We just got some media coverage about it. So this building has been abandoned for 8 years. And if you know anything about downtown Springfield, there's a lot of those properties. It's just, there's a lot of blight in the city. So to be able to resurrect this property that's been around since the late 1800s, this building's been around.
That's crazy.
And it served so many different purposes. It was a church, it was an auto body, it was a sign company. There were like nonprofits run out of it, and then it just sat. So to be able to give it life and give the city life again is going to be just so rewarding. So rewarding.
That's awesome.
That's so
I
exciting.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to go visit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The second it's open, you guys are more than invited. And a big part of it is I want to teach people. I want to share the knowledge that I have. Not that I claim to be an expert in anything, but like if I can share any amount of knowledge that I have and will continue to keep getting, I think it's invaluable to the industry. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't all need to be self-taught. We can lean on each other, you know.
Right.
Exactly.
Self-taught's hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
But yeah, no, I'm super thankful to VSP and being able to operate in more of a creative role has been, I think it's accelerated my career a lot further than I would have been able to do on my own. You know,
You and I
Definitely.
talked about community, like off the mic a bit, and I think having these studios and office space, being able to bring in like workshops and stuff, I think this will play a huge role in like satisfying that community kind of itch you have.
yeah, absolutely. And for some reason, I love Springfield. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just love it. I live there. I'm going to work there. Like it's such a solid community of people. And there's so much talent in that space. And I think having this spot where we can all work together and just be better creators is going to be invaluable.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
That is.
It's really exciting.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah, we're doing a big psych wall. We have a kitchen set that we're building. And it's also going to have the full isolated recording studio as well. For musicians or podcasts or, you know, anything audio related, will live in there. And then, we're also going to build some temporary walls that can roll around and
Some
people
walls
can
on wheels, yeah.
build their own sets and, you know, again, create. You have this idea, we've got the spot. Come do it.
So it's like in the city, is the whole building going to be soundproofed or just like the one audio room, you think?
In terms of, it's a good question. We're still figuring out the kinks of it. The way that it's built, the studio's offset. We put the offices on the road, and the
There you
studio
go. So you
space
may
is
not need it.
Right.
offset from the road.
Strategic.
The ISO booth is going to be completely soundproof,
Right.
and treated appropriately for that application. But everything else, we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna kind of walk through it as it goes, and it's like, okay, this is unbearable, and we can't shoot anything in here. We'll address it.
Yeah.
But from the times that we've spent in there, and I've gone there and just sat there for an hour or two and just listened, and it's not egregious.
Yeah.
You know.
It's off the main path a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Union Street's right there, but it's like,
yeah.
it's not the
It's
worst.
not that bad.
It's
Yeah.
not the worst. I mean, there's no train tracks running behind it, you know, so
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very, very exciting.
That's awesome.
Coming soon.
Yay.
Coming soon.
Can't wait.
Yeah. But that's been the biggest project recently, is trying to figure that out. And then stepping into this business development role to try to accelerate what we're doing and get into more commercial work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you guys?
Just living.
Ooh, how tables turned. I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready for that.
Come on now. Come on now.
I wasn't ready to be asked questions.
What is this, an interview?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I've recently gone through like a big restructuring of how I quote packages. So I used to do hourly and trying to go more value based now. So that's big for me because I was severely underpricing myself, which I think happens to a lot of people in the beginning. That's a really difficult part, I think, for anyone is figuring out how to price things. It sucks.
For sure.
And then obviously I'm considering switching from Canon to Sony because I had a really bad
You heard it here first.
customer experience. Customer service was
you hear that?
awful. Canon. And it literally it made me
Talk
want to
about it.
switch. So
What happened?
I went through this horrible situation where my camera was just not functioning and it wasn't focusing, it wasn't stabilizing, and I knew what it was capable of because I had another model of the same-ish camera. And I had to send it back and forth with Canon, I think it was 5 times total. It was from August to January. I was sending it back and forth, and they ended up they completely changed the circuit board inside, and the final tweak that was made was they replaced the sensor. It was a huge
So they
issue,
did everything
a
but
malfunction.
replace the camera?
Exactly. Yeah.
Seems
And-
like they could have saved themselves a couple steps.
Right. Yeah. So
No warranty?
oh, it was under warranty. It was all covered.
Neat.
Thank God. But my warranty was expiring in January and they kept trying to drag it out and they were gaslighting me. And they ended up saying at one point, I think it was the 3rd or 4th time I sent it, that nothing was wrong. And they couldn't replicate the issue. So it just totally turned me off. It was awful. And I would call them constantly. I ended up keeping receipts of every single correspondence I had with them because I was going to sue them. It was so bad.
Who's the bully now?
It was bad. I was losing my mind. And this was the first full year of my business. I can't be without this camera. It's my livelihood. This is not a hobby. So salty.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big shift for me. And I'm hoping I'm going to make it before my weddings kick off so that I am comfortable with the
I
new
can't
gear.
say anything about Sony customer service because I've never had to use it.
I've
Never had to send my camera away to have every part in it replaced because it works all the time.
Exactly.
Knock on wood. Better keep working over there. But
Yeah. Oh my God, I know. Jeez. Yeah.
if you have a relationship with anybody, whether it's a vendor or a manufacturer or a supplier, that you feel like you need to sue them,
I know.
time to cut the cord.
So
Time
bad.
to cut the cord. It's
So
okay.
bad.
It's all right. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I am.
I'm getting there. So we'll see. Other than that, just, I don't know, trying to figure out what other projects I want to do for the year.
Fair enough. How about you, Nick?
Well, I talked about this in another episode, but I'm in a little creative rut right now. So Q1 was a good start, but beginning of Q2 is slowed down dramatically, which, I mean, it's fine. It happens. But in that happening, I kind of lost a lot of just creativity, and I needed to find a way to kind of get that spark back, which I think I have, and I'm kind of back in business now. But I think right now my focus is I want to do some spec work again, just to help really fuel that fire a little bit more, just because I can do whatever I want with spec work and I can be as creative as I want to be. So Kayla and I were doing a beverage shoot for something maybe in the next month or so. But I think really it's just keep doing what I'm doing, get Q2 back on track, because I have these annual goals for myself, and I look at them quarterly, and it's all right, I've hit it Q1, I've fallen a little behind here, let's get back on track.
Sure. No, it's great. It's a good way to keep yourself accountable. I do the same thing. You have to have some sort of goal.
Yeah.
And you know, if the thing that I struggle with often is setting an attainable goal for the time frame that I set
Yes.
it for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've
Me
been
too.
guilty of being I need
Too ambitious.
I need to make $1 million in the next year. It's no, you don't. You need to just scale appropriately in the next
Right.
year.
Yes,
Right.
100%.
Find a percentage that works and then get to your million whenever you decide to get to it. But yeah, no, it's been a big struggle.
Smart goals.
Exactly. Speaking of your creative rut, there's a really good book called The War of Art.
I've heard of it.
Read it.
Yeah, I haven't
So
read it,
good.
but
It's
I've
so
heard
good.
of it.
It's a very digestible read. Super helpful
Yeah.
to just give you a different perspective on creativity and what it actually is.
Right.
You know,
We were talking earlier, like, it's not like I'm lacking motivation. I'm more so lacking that creativity.
Right.
Because, like, my opinion on the motivation side of it is motivation, like, it ebbs and flows, and that's just how it is. It will come and go. So, like, if I lack motivation right now, I know it will come back. I'm not worried about, finding motivation again. It'll come back. I was more focused on, like, getting that creativity back.
Sure. Absolutely.
We all go through it.
Yeah. It's part of the creative process.
It is.
You can't just be creative all the time.
Exactly.
You can't. It's not sustainable.
It's
You
not.
know? It's all about where you source your inspiration from, and if you run out of the source of your inspiration, you got to step back and find another
Find
source.
another one,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, I totally get that.
Definitely.
Totally get that.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at on Instagram at aiden.s.mcdonald, McDonald, or VSP Multimedia. It's VSP_multimedia on Instagram. And then our regular production page is Visual Sound Prod, PROD.
Oh, he's so good. We
Yeah, that
we
was
barely
great.
even knew our Instagram handle.
I'm like, are we at the Humble Hustle or are we the Humble Hustle Pot? What? So yeah, I'm like, just find us.
Yeah, just search.
You'll find us eventually.
Links in the
find
show
it.
notes always.
But we're going to be posting a lot of updates on the building, a lot of studio updates. We also post work and a lot of the events we do.
Do you have a website too?
Fun time. Yeah, website is visualsoundprod.com. You'll find everything we do there.
Love that.
Perfect.
That's it.
Thank you so much. This
It
was
was
so
having me.
fun.
a great episode. Thank you so much for coming.
Yay.
Absolutely. Cheers. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Be sure to give us 5 stars on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. There are some funny things that happen in the visuals, so watch on YouTube. I know if you're driving, it's easier to hit up Spotify. We've gotten a couple asks about Apple Podcasts, actually. We'll see. But right now, Spotify, YouTube, and check us out on Instagram.
Is there going to be a blooper reel from this one?
We should.
There's
Maybe.
a couple.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
you'll find all the bloopers on our social media.
Good.
Yes.
We'll post them as a reel. So
Love that.
follow
And
us
we're
to
on
keep tabs.
TikTok. Get us on TikTok.
What's your...
Yeah, do you know our TikTok handle?
Humble Hustle Pod. I think it's Humble Hustle Pod. Yeah.
God.
I'll link it. Nick will
We're
link it.
horrible.
By
I
mean
swear
Nick
we know
will
what we're
link
doing.
it.
All right.
All right,
Thanks
that's
for
all for that
watching.
one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.